Okay, we're starting on Ches Amud Aleph on the bottom. Today's Amud is Ches Amud Beis. Last line on the Amud, Amar Rav Huna Bar Yehuda Amar Rabbi Ami. La'ilam Yashlim Adam Parshei Yosef Matibar. Famous halacha: a person should complete that week's Torah portion with the tzibur. Shnai Mikra v'Echad Targum. Shnai Mikra, the famous halacha of Shnai Mikra, that someone should read the parsha twice every week, and he should read the Targum, the translation in Aramaic, once every week. Even if there is no Targum, you should still do the Mikra, the actual Chumash part. Wow. Just like we mentioned last time, right, that there was a skula to lengthen one's days if one davens with the tzibur, so to being mashlim, the parshas with the tzibur, doing, meaning, let's say this week's parsha is Shmini, right, so this week you should do Shmini. You shouldn't do Tzav, and you shouldn't do next week's Parsha. You should do Shmini because that's what the Tzibur is doing. So this week's Shnai Mikra should be focused on the one that the Tzibur is doing. And one who does that, their reward will be Arichas Yamim. Their days will be lengthened. Rabbi Bar Bai Savar Loi Shalmenu LeParsha Yisai Tikul Shazu Malayam Tikapure. Rabbi Bar Bai made sure that he completed the entire Torah before Erev Yom Kippur. By the time Erev Yom Kippur came around, he was already finished everything. It says that you will, it mentions Yom Kippur. Did I say Tisha B'Av? Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur, in the that's when he would finish Shnai Mikra. So it says by Yom Kippur, that Yom Kippur transpired on the 9th, that on the 9th day you should fast. L'chodesh ba'erev. So what do you mean that on the 9th day you should fast? We fast on the 10th day, right? Yom Kippur is on the 10th day of Tishrei, not the 9th. So I just say the 9th. Gemara says, famously, right? The Gemara says famously, anyone who eats and drinks on the 9th day on Erev Yom Kippur, it's as if he fasted on the 9th and the 10th. Eating on Erev Yom Kippur is just as good as fasting on Yom Kippur itself. Unbelievable. We very rarely ever have a mitzvah to eat. I think it's the only time mitzvah d'oraisa to eat. Why do we have a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur? Because Hashem says, I gave you a chiyuv to fast, so therefore the day before, as a preparation for that, I'm going to give you a chiyuv to eat. Okay. Yeah. There's an interesting thing about Shnai Mikra. Rav Moshe says there's a tshuva about it, and Rav Moshe says that even someone learning in Kollel, right? There was a question that was proposed to him, and he said even someone learning in Kollel should do Shnai Mikra. Because people are going to say, I'm people in Kollel are going to say, listen, I'm dealing with much deeper things, or Bekiva Egers and Rajbas and Ritzvahs, I'm dealing with much deeper things. I should just be reading the Torah portion every week. So Rav Moshe says, yes, absolutely. Everyone should. In fact, there's some say that maybe even in an Avel during Shiva, who he can't learn anything, but at least he should do Shnai Mikra, because that's with the tzibur. He shouldn't be parish from the tzibur. He shouldn't separate himself from the tzibur. So Shnai Mikra is a very important thing to do. Savar lakdu minu amaleo saba tainina bavad shlo yakdim v'shlo yachir. So meaning, Shnai Mikra should be done at the proper time, not earlier, not later. You should finish the parsha, do Shnai Mikra v'Echad Targum at the same time that the tzibur is doing it. Whatever that week's parsha is, that's what you do. Shnai Mikra v'Echad Targum. Vazhiru bivridin. Vridin are certain blood vessels, so you should be careful about those blood vessels, is the advice that he gave to him. Until one shechts the vridin, until one shechts the blood vessels from the chicken, then he can't eat it. He can't eat the chicken until he shechts these certain blood vessels. And one should also beware, one should be careful, that when there is an elderly person, that he's a big Talmud Chacham, but he forgot what he learned. But he forgot it because of an ayinus, maybe a short-term memory loss. I don't know. Okay, he forgot his learning, but he's still a holy person. There are luchos and there are broken luchos. Both of those things are placed in the aron. Even the ones that are intact and the luchos that are broken are both placed in the luchos. Amalu Rava Lebnei. Rava said to his kids, so what's the pshat, right? Meaning there's broken luchos and not broken luchos. Meaning even if the Talmud Chacham is there, the luchos have two types of kedushas: the kedusha haguf and the kedusha of the ksav of what's written in the luchos. Right? There's two things: the luchos themselves have a kedusha, but also what's written, because there's holy things written in it. So too with the Talmud Chacham. There's kedusha in the guf himself and the knowledge he has. So even if he doesn't have the knowledge, he still has a kedusha on the fact that he's Talmud Chacham on the guf himself. So even if it's broken, quote unquote, he still has the inherent kedusha with him. Beautiful. Okay, so Rava says to his children more advice. When one cuts meat, don't cut on top of your hand, right? It could be dangerous. Well, let's see, right? Some say because it could be dangerous. Or some say because it's not healthy. So it'll mess up the suda, right? Maybe get some blood on the meat. It's not nice for the guests. And don't sit by the bed of an Aramis, certain nation. And as we mentioned previously, don't pass by the back of a shul at the same time that the tzibur is davening. And don't. Now we're going to explain all of them. Okay, so the first piece of advice he gave him is don't sit by the bed of an Aramis. Some say, what does this mean? This means don't go to sleep without saying Kriya Shema. The Ikda Amri, and there are those that say, Deloitte Tinasvu Giyaris, don't marry a Giyorta. What does this mean? It's not unclear, but we'll go with it's a girl from a different nation. Ikda Amri Aramis Mamash, and some say, no, it means don't sleep by the bed of an Aramis. It means exactly what it seems that it means. Why should one not sleep by the bed of an Aramis? Because of a certain story that we're about to say. There's a story with Rav Papa, the Rav Papa, Azal Lagabe Aramis. Rav Papa went to an Aramis, and the Aramis made the bed for him. So Amar La, she said to him, Shev, go sit down on the bed. Amar La, he said to her, Eini Yoshev Ad Shetikbiya Asamita. I'm not sitting down until you lift up the bed, Rav Papa says. Guess what happened? Agbiya as Tamita, she lifted up the bed, Umatsu Chum Tinoik Mace. And what was under the bed? There was a dead child in the bed. What was going to happen? She was going to accuse Rav Papa of killing the child. So Rav Papa, through some way, knew that something was suspicious. I don't know how. He was obviously a very smart man, all that, but because of this, one should not sleep by the bedside of an Aramis, or sit down. One should not sit down on the bed of an Aramis, and one should not pass by the back of a shul, and at the same time that the tzibur is davening. This is a proof to Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Because Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, again, we mentioned this before, that Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, a person is not allowed, it's prohibited for a person to pass by the back of a shul at the same time that the tzibur is davening. No, the only time where it's usher to pass by is not qualifying this isser. There's an isser to pass by the back of a shul when the tzibur is davening, but that only applies if there's no other entrance. There's only one entrance to the shul. But if there's another entrance, and the person could just say, oh, you didn't go by this entrance, but you'll go to another entrance, so we don't have to have such a concern. And another qualification where this isser of not passing by a shul while the tzibur is davening is only where there's no other shul. But if you pass by a shul and there's other shuls in the town, so then people will just say, oh, he's going to a different shul. Another qualification, if you're not carrying any loads and if you're not wearing tefillin. But if you're doing one of these things, if you're carrying a load, people know, oh, he's busy. He's busy doing something else. He's not just passing by the shul to be disgraced for the shul. And if you're wearing tefillin, people know you're going somewhere else to daven. Right? So if one of these things are true, then you don't have the isser to pass by the back of a shul. But if you don't have any of these things, then there is an isser to pass by the back of a shul at the same time that the tzibur is davening. Okay, let's go weiter. Tanya Amar Rabbi Kiva b'shloish dvarim oihev ani es hamediyim. There are three things that the Mediyim, which is again a different type of nation, three things that they did, that they acted in a certain way that are praiseworthy according to me, that I love. That's what Rabbi Kiva says. What were the three things? As we mentioned before, when one cuts meat, one should not cut on top of his hand. Hashulchan kishenai gabe shulchan. I'm sorry. They do cut ein chayten el al gabe shulchan. Correct. They don't cut on top of their hand. They cut it on top of a table. Kishenoishkin einoishkin el al gabe yad. And when they kiss people, they only kiss on hands, not on heads. Only on hands. Right. A lot of people have that custom nowadays. They kiss people when they greet each other. They kiss people on the hand. And when people are giving advice to one another, they only give this advice in the field, more private. This way nobody will be embarrassed. It was in the field, and we see that the field is a more tzenius place, meaning a more hidden place, and it's more private. There are three things that I love about the Persians, about the things that the Persians do. And what are them? They are very tsanua, they are very modest in the way they eat. They are very modest in the way they go to the bathroom. And they're very modest in the way that they are with their wives. Ani tavisi l'mikdashi, Tani Rabbi Yosef, Eila parsima mukdashin v'zam l'gehenim. So Rabbi Yosef is arguing that. Rabbi Yosef is saying maybe they do a couple nice things, but for the most part they don't do such great things. They're prepared for Gehenim, right? So obviously it's a machlek is about whether or not what they do is really so praiseworthy. Okay. So let's just, let's go from here and we'll go to the bottom. So here we're going to quote again. Now, we just did a bunch of Agadata, a bunch of Amudim of Agadata, but here we take a different direction. We're going to go back. The first Mishnah, remember, we obviously cited the different times, the earliest times one was allowed to read Kriya Shema at night, and the latest times that one was allowed to read Kriya Shema at night. There were three different opinions as to when the latest time one can read Kriya Shema at night. Rabbi Gamliel said that the latest time was dawn. Right? So now we're going to expound upon that a little more. The Allah is like Rabbi Gamliel that the latest time to read Kriya Shema is dawn. There are times that a person can read Kriya Shema twice in one night. How's that possible? Koidem sheyala amud hashachar, before amud hashachar, v'achas la'achar sheyala amud hashachar. Meaning achas koidem sheyala amud hashachar. I'm sorry, I skipped that word. V'achas la'achar sheyala amud hashachar. One time before amud hashachar and one time after dawn. Unbelievably enough, he can read it 2 times at night and yet still be his daytime Kriya Shema and his nighttime Kriya Shema. So there's an obvious question here. Gemara asks, Hagufa kasha. This itself is difficult. Why? Because Amarta pa'am sha'adam kairei Kriya Shema shtei pa'amim b'layla. You said that there are 2 times one can read Kriya Shema at night. Alma la'acha shel amud hashachar laylahu. So we see that after amud hashachar is considered nighttime. V'hadar tani yoytze ben yedecha v'asar acha shel yom acha shel layla. Alma yamamahu. Right? So meaning, it goes either way. Either after, we said after dawn, it's 2 times you can read it at night. After dawn is still considered night, therefore we call it nighttime. But you could be Yotzei your daytime. How can you be Yotzei reading Kriya Shema of the daytime at night? That doesn't make any sense. So which one is it? Is this time period, whatever it is, after dawn, daytime or nighttime? It can't be both. All right? So the Gemara answers no. Really, this time period after dawn, it's obviously a short time period because at a certain time it does become day. But for this, whatever this time period is after dawn, it is considered night. Why do we call it daytime? Why do we say your Yotzei, your Kriya Shema of daytime? Some people get up at this time. Some people get up when it's still nighttime, technically. But for them, it's daytime, right? The pasuk says, "B'shach b'hav kamecha." So you read Kriya Shema when you lie down and when you get up. That can vary depending on the person. It's one of the rare mitzvahs like that where it can vary. Where the time is not necessarily specific to 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock. No, that's not what it is. It depends when you get up. It depends when you sleep. Obviously, nowadays we have gedarim and exact guidelines as to when those times are. But in general, the exact commandment is when you get up and when you lie down. So it's a very unique mitzvah. Reading Kriya Shema is in that way. Just a little more. Amar Rab Acha Bar Chanina, Amar Rab Yeshua ben Levi. Halacha Rab Shimon ben Yochai. Halacha does go like this opinion that you can be Yotzei 2 in 1. You can get it 2 for 1. Ikdamasi lahad Rab Acha Bar Chanina ha. And some say this is really the way the Mishnah went. The Tanya Rab Shimon ben Yochai Mishum Rabbi Kiva Pa'amim sha'adim koyrei Kriya Shema shtei pa'amim b'yoyim achas. There are times that a person can read Kriya Shema 2 times. 2 times b'yoyim. 2 times during the day. Achas koydem enitzachama. One before sunrise and one after sunrise. And he can be Yotzei both his nighttime Kriya Shema and the daytime Kriya Shema. So I'm going to ask the same question as before, just the opposite. Hagufa kasha. This itself is a question. Amarta, you said pa'amim sha'adam kairei Kriya Shema shtei pa'amim b'yoyim. You said that there are times that a person can read Kriya Shema 2 times during the day. Alma koidem neitzachama yemamuhu. So we see that before this time period, before sunrise, is considered the daytime. V'hadar tani, and then you learned Yotzei ben yedecha v'asan achal shel yom yachal shel layla. And then we said white time night, white time day. Alma laylahu. Again, which one is it? It can't be both. This time either has to be daytime or it has to be nighttime, and yet you're contradicting yourself. So which one is it? Gemara says lie. La'ilam yamamu, really is considered daytime. So then how could you be Yotzei your nighttime Kriya Shema during the day? Again, why do we say nighttime? Why do we say you could be Yotzei your nighttime Kriya Shema at this time, even though it's technically day? Because the Ika Inshi, the Ganuba, Hishaita, there are people that wake up at that time. Right? I'm sorry, there are people that go to sleep at that time, get the night shift, right? There are people that go to sleep at that time. So therefore, if they go to sleep at that time, even though it's technically daytime, but for them, it's still nighttime. Amar Acha Bar Chanina, Amar Yeshua ben Levi, Halach Rab Shimon, Sha'amar Mishum, Rabbi Kiva. And that halacha does accord with this. Okay, beautiful. We got back to dinim of Kriya Shema, more halachic things. And tomorrow, of course, we'll get to the story that was mentioned in the Mishnah about the sons coming back from the party. and a lot of other great things. Maseches Brachos is jam-packed, obviously. So we'll end here on the top of Tes Amud Aleph.